Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And this 10-minute moan isn't on the moan again, it's me just having a laugh at the SNP and their downfall, okay? This is yet another, I predicted this would happen, it's certainly happening, and here's yet another one of those who love the SNP, failed to get elected, and suddenly want to tell the world how shite the SNP is, right? And yet another that I wonder, why did you not tell us before you tried to get a £91,000 per year job, okay? Just putting that out there. Now, this one involves a failed candidate, Toni, I believe his surname is pronounced Giugliano. I do apologise if that's wrong, because my Italian's not so good, right? But Toni has apparently tried to be a candidate 5 times, and he's failed 5 times, and it's everybody else's fault this time. So, this one is covered in the Express by Ben Borland. The headline is, bitter and defeated Nat, who lost the seat's safest seat, lost the SNP's safest seat, blames Michael Matheson, right? Toni Giugliano, who lost an SNP majority of almost 15,000, says that the controversial local MSP should have been removed from office for his infamous £11,000 iPad expenses scandal. Now, this is July. The expenses scandal came out in November. So in 7 months, 6 months, 7 months, Toni hasn't said this once, right? Now, I don't think he's wrong in what he says. I tend to agree with him that Matheson should have been hunted. Most normal people in Scotland believe the same. But this guy doesn't open his mouth until he's lost the opportunity of his £91,000 a year job for 5 years, right? So I'm kind of like, you've lost my respect at that point. However, this story's still worth telling because it is funny, right? An SNP candidate who lost the safest seat in Scotland to Labour has blamed the party's decision to stand by Michael Matheson for his failure to get elected. Ambitious Toni Giugliano was defending a colossal 14,948 majority in Falkirk, but lost out to a 24-year-old Ewan Steinbank, is that a name? That's cracking. In one of the most stunning upsets of the general election on Thursday. And hours later, in an extraordinary Facebook post, he said Mr. Matheson should be removed as an MSP, echoing the view of most voters. And even said, this gets better, SNP councillors should be considering their position. Mr. Matheson, who has represented Falkirk West since 2007, is currently serving a record suspension from Holyrood for reclaiming £11,000 on expenses to pay for an iPad data roaming bill racked up by his sons watching Scottish football while, on holiday. Posting on his social media page, Mr. Giugliano said, the SNP must take time to reflect on the scale of the defeat across Scotland and rebuild truth with voters. I don't believe this result is a reflection on support for independence. Voters have sent the SNP a very clear message to get its house in order. I agree with John Swinney that we must heal our relationship with voters, and Falkirk is the very place to start. An MSP found to have breached rules on parliamentary expenses must never again be protected. Quite the opposite, they must be removed from office. That's great, Toni. When did you tell us this? Before the election. So, what I'm now saying is, if you had got that seat, you probably still wouldn't have opened your mouth. You'd have took the 91 grand a year for 5 years and we'd never have heard your opinion on it, right? So, let's not take the moral high ground here, eh? You're right in what you say, your timing stinks, and your reasons are you're dummies out because you failed for the 5th time, I believe, to get elected, and it's everybody else's fault. He also complained about SNP-run Falkirk Council's plans to cut school hours and close community centres, which severely damaged his campaign, he says. And he added, it's extraordinary that the local SNP administration failed to support my campaign and instead publicly attacked me before the election for siding with parents. They should consider their position. That is pretty shit, right? But if you're arguing against them, why did the party not support you? If they didn't support you and they supported you less than others, then you get a valid point. And that isn't right. But I don't think they supported anybody. Do you know why? Newsflash, they're skint, right? So they probably didn't support many of them. Falkirk was a Labour stronghold for 80 years until 2015 when John McNally, who ran a barber shop in Denny for 30 years before entering politics, won the seat for the SNP. He proved a popular local figure thanks to his down-to-earth approach. Mr. Giugliano, who has failed to win for SNP at 5 different elections, narrowly won a controversial selection battle after being accused of offering his rivals sweeteners. Right? He has completely lost the moral high ground, hasn't he? Right? In response to his Facebook rant, one person said, I've previously been an SNP voter my entire voting life, but I wonder, what do you know, Toni? What you do now, Toni? Find another constituency with a foolproof majority to try and stand in, or as a career in politics now looking less likely. Having a swipe at a tried and tested politician, regardless of party or history, seems a little like throwing the toys out the pram as the big boys won't let you play with them. Sounds like a fair response. So there we go. The much predicted, said it myself, implosion. I thought the implosion would happen. Genuinely, I thought between 20 and 20 seats would be a good result for, me being a unionist and not like the SNP. The fact it ended up with 9 is just, I still can't really get my head around it. However, I predicted that there would be an implosion if they went half their seats. This is just the start of it, right? This implosion will play out probably for the full summer, because we see so many people now disillusioned with the SNP, and not just their supporters or nationalists, people that have been candidates for them and people that have been ministers, parliamentarians for them, will be coming out and telling us more stuff. Now, he's not really told us anything inside, apart from a claim that he never got supported by the party, which may or may not be true. I don't believe they would have given much support to any of their candidates because they're skint, right? So that's where we're at. And it's people like him. That's why I'm wanting to stand for Holyrood, right? Because people like him stand and they are void of morals, right? And you're voting for a rosette. Even the people that voted for him weren't voting for Toni. They were voting for a yellow rosette. And I'm not comfortable with that. I want to stand at the next election for the people of Glasgow. And if I'm lucky enough to convince enough of them to vote for me, I'll serve them. I'm going to write on my car sun visor, you are a servant of the people. Now, that's not just a servant of the people that voted for me in Glasgow. That's not even just for everybody in Glasgow, whether they voted with me or not. If I was to get to Holyrood, I'm a servant for everybody in Scotland. And I'll remind myself of that every day by writing it in the sun visor in my car. So every time I jumped to go to my work, I'd flip that thing down and go, yep. Right? These people don't. These are people that just wanted that 91 grand a year. Because we never heard anything about his morals in the 7 months before it about Michael Matheson. And if he'd been lucky enough to get voted in to his 91 grand a year job at Westminster, we wouldn't have heard anything for 5 years for Toni about how bad the party is and how much little support they had and how terrible the Falkirk Council are. Right? But I want more people, normal people, people with a wee bit of life experience to stand as candidates, because they deserve to have the jobs in Holyrood before people like Toni, who are just coattail hangers and climbers because they want to be politicians, right? Don't let them be politicians. Stand up against them. Go into Holyrood and do a better job than them, right? And I don't want, somebody standing for election, they should probably want nobody to stand against them. No me. I'm right up for a bit of this, right? I want to fill, and we wouldn't even get this all in, right? But even if we made a difference and get 30 or 40 normal people in Holyrood, normal people that will not accept shite off people that will hold people accountable, people that won't be scared of getting into trouble for the presiding officer or losing the whip because they speak out about people, right? Just go in there, make sure they do a good job, hold them accountable, and have a wee look under the bonnet and find out where all the wastage is for this government. And see if we can find £1 billion of wastage. We don't need to tax people to get better services for services that need it, right? We've got terrible health service, terrible roads, terrible education, right? Terrible addiction issues. And these things need money. We don't need to tax people for them. Just make the money we spend better value for money. Okay, rant over. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please tick the subscribe button and the notification bell. Most importantly than all that, unless you're Two-Faced Tony or any of these crackpots that are trying to now jump the moral high horse, right? See everybody else. Have a great day. Cheery bye now.